The current COVID-19 outbreak has put the world of travel on pause and given us all a cause to re-evaluate how we shall run our businesses in the future. AVIAREPS is a global leader in travel and tourism. In 67 own offices in 48 countries, we work with more than 250 global travel and tourism brands, from airlines to DMOs, from hotel and hospitality to retail and shopping, and from car rental to cruise. We've started with a weekly live stream to support you, our partners and clients in this time. We started with Japan in the first week, discussed Germany and the German-speaking countries last week, and this week we want to focus on the UAE. My name is Drechsler. I'm the Chief Operating Officer Tourism at AVIAREPS. Today I will have Glenn Johnston with me. Glenn is the General Manager of AVIAREPS for the UAE based in our Dubai office. Glenn grew up in Australia, lived and worked for many years at AVIAREPS Japan, and is now, since more than a decade, responsible for AVIAREPS Middle East. I have the pleasure today to interview Glenn and ask 4 questions about the current tourism situation in the UAE and what the tourism ecosystem in recovery might look like. I invite you to also actively participate and ask questions during our live discussion. Glenn, thank you very much for joining us from sunny Dubai today. Here's my first question to you. Not necessarily everybody knows about the UAE. Can you please explain to us which countries are part of the UAE and why the UAE is an important source market for so many international tourism and travel brands?
Hello, Thomas, and thank you for the question. And hello to everyone, and thank you for your interest in the UAE and the Gulf region in particular. Thank you, Thomas. With regards to the question, for the UAE, for those that don't know, is made of 7 different emirates, each of them having their own individual tourism industry and making up the whole country of the United Arab Emirates. Maybe some of the major ones that people might know, especially for tourism, is Abu Dhabi, Dubai. There's also Ajman, Sharjah, Ras Al Khaimah, and Fujairah, Al Quwain as well. And so that's with regards to the 7 emirates of the UAE. But however, from this office in Dubai and also with my colleagues in Saudi Arabia, we look after Saudi Arabia. We also look after Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, and also Qatar. And I think maybe one of the reasons why people look at our region as something to look into, especially for potential inbound coming tourism, is for the reason that we tend to, even though we might be small in numbers compared to other markets, we do travel very frequently. We also tend to be a little bit more high spending, with our daily yield being one of the highest or our spend being one of the highest in the world. We also tend to go for more luxury or high-end products, so accommodation tends to be, demand for accommodation tends to be more of a 4 to 5 star offering. And of course, we love to shop. So especially for retailers, we tend to be a very good market.
Thank you very much, Glenn. The UAE suspended entry of non-Emirat residents on March 19. What is the current situation in the UAE right now?
Yes, like the rest of the world, we've all been trying to deal with this pandemic. And I would like to say that, first of all, a thank you to all of the authorities in our region who I believe have done a fantastic job. We're obviously not out of the woods yet. And however, we have, for example, authorities taking a real strong approach with high levels of testing. So in the UAE specifically, the number of tests per million of people is the highest in the world. And we have had very strict guidelines that the whole community has come together to support. And so we hope, inshallah, that things will get a lot better as we keep going through this. But happy to say that we already see the light at the end of the tunnel. We are already now opening up, and restaurants are opening, obviously with social distancing rules in place. And also retail is opening up. Flights are opening up, so even Emirates and even domestic flights in Saudi Arabia have already started flying, and so this is encouraging, and we expect to see it continue to go forward.
It's very good to hear. Glenn, I understand AVIAREPS has recently conducted an extensive survey amongst the UAE travel trade. What were your key findings?
Yes, we were really excited to be able to conduct this survey. So it was based on surveying outbound tour operators from the whole GCC And what we were doing there was to measure sentiment and to sort of see how also our various partners, whether they be tourism boards, hospitality chains, attractions, DMCs, etc., how they could perhaps work with our region to get the outbound tourism up on its feet as quickly as possible. So I think the first question that really came out, and I have to emphasize that we did this survey actually at the beginning of May. So we also understand that results no doubt will be changing as things recently change every day. But a key part of this survey is that it's ongoing. So this is just the first results that have come through. And again, this month we'll be doing it again so that we can track sentiment with regards to all of these areas that I can give a bit of information on now. The first one being was with regards to just sort of looking at the situation of cancellations for outbound travel. And as you could expect, the percentage of total cancellations for June were quite high. However, from that, it was very much diminishing on a month-by-month basis. So much so that even the October to December pre-booked overseas travel, the cancellation rate at that stage was 9%. And even in August, it was only 24%. So I think from our market, that sort of gives a real indication that people are really looking and having a wait-and-see approach. They're not necessarily cancelling what they've already pre-booked for travel. However, they're waiting to see, first of all, if travel will be feasible, and then whatever the other sort of indications or restrictions might come in place to decide whether they need to postpone their travel or to perhaps cancel it and perhaps look at it for another time. But I think that's encouraging to see that people are not necessarily just going out and cancelling everything straight away. What was also really exciting to find out was that the expectation of recovery, and to a large extent, actually 60% of the respondents, and just to let everyone know, there was 94 key outbound tour operators that we surveyed throughout the region, and 60% of those expected a return to outbound travel from August and September. So this is also quite encouraging, especially because we're not talking about domestic travel, we're talking about international travel specifically. And yesterday, so Tim Clark from Emirates, the CEO, was giving a presentation, and he was hoping, and he was mentioning that even from July, that's something that they're working to. So I think our region is usually very, very upbeat and proactive and positive and optimistic in many ways. But I think that it does reflect about our region and how we look at things. But I think there's reasons for that, maybe compared to other reasons why return to outbound travel might be earlier than other reasons. And I think the first one, like everywhere else, there's a pent-up demand from COVID. But I think more importantly, we are now going into a summer, which is our peak travel period normally, simply because as wonderful as this region is, it does get a little bit hot in our summer months. And that's what we're entering into now. And so during the summer months, it also restricts our ability to go outside. So people are seeing that that this is also another opportunity why people will still very much want to travel even this summer. I think another big reason why people can see a quick return to outbound travel is also that our region traditionally, even before COVID times, is always been a very last-minute, late booking region. So for us to do overseas travel, even within the next week, it's very normal for us. And so maybe not like other markets where they would plan an overseas trip maybe a year in advance, 6 months in advance. We're very comfortable to do that even a week in advance, sometimes even shorter. So these are the reasons why I think we're expecting a return to good demand. So when they're seeing that the potential for these outbound travel, we also asked them, when are they looking to start promoting their overseas packages or offerings? And what we saw was that 65% of the respondents would be doing that either from July, starting from July, August, or September, with August being the main month that they would look at really pushing those overseas promotions. And then when we asked them what would those promotions look like, A large part, well, pretty much all of them, to tell you the truth, they would be creating full service packages. So it would be with the airlines, it would be with the hotels, it would be using all the local tours and transport, even a lot looking at also doing fly and drive. And these type of offerings seem to be a lot more popular, or what they're looking to do, rather than perhaps what had been in the past, which might have been just a standalone hotel offering. So we're really seeing the travel agents coming on board to really show their expertise as well in being able to put together a complete package. So these have been the really interesting findings. We also found out what the tour operators here want from different suppliers and partners. So for example, from tourism boards, a lot of them are really looking for training. They want to have update information, especially with regards to protocols and restrictions, but also going forward, what's available that might make sense in a post-COVID world, or in the new world, as we're calling it. I think another one, especially from airlines, that they're looking for flexible cancellation or rebooking abilities, and also obviously information, especially with regards to their flight schedulings, because we all understand that this is perhaps changing every day as well. But really wanting that information with regards to flight schedulings, and then also with regards to restrictions about how different people might be able to travel. I forgot to mention a very key one with regards to the tourism boards, that they're also looking for very clear understandings of whether people will have to go into quarantine on arrival, or what the situation would be with regards to the safe and health protocols. And this continued also with regards to accommodation. With regards to accommodation, again, it was really looking at flexible cancellation policies if required. Interestingly, we also saw that obviously luxury is a big demand from our region, and seeing also, and villa type accommodation had always been very, very popular from our region, but now also looking at villa type accommodation with its own pool as sort of something that might be of particular interest to our market. And then with regards to DMCs, again, it was really wanting to know information with regards to different attractions in their destination, what's opened, what's not, what's changed, what protocols do people need to go through to visit. And again, flexible cancellations were the main one. So this was a roundup of that. But then we decided. Then we also asked them what regions would be selling first, and naturally the Middle East, and that's with regards to not to domestic tourism, but with intra-travel tourism, came up as number one. So if it's from the UAE, it's looking at a lot of demand for Saudi and maybe Oman, these different places. And then with regards to Saudi, Bahrain markets, also looking at Saudi, but Oman and obviously the UAE by Abu Dhabi and the Northern Emirates. So this was to be expected. But then after that, what we found, the other regions that came through was Southeast Asia, also proved very popular, as did the Indian Ocean destinations of Maldives, Seychelles, and Mauritius. These were also came up very high. And then fourthly, as a region, Europe came through. But we also have we actually did a top 20 destinations that actually came through. I won't go through them all, but the top destination that came through as a overall average aggregate was actually the Maldives. But it's also been very interesting to see what other destinations came through there. And we're more than happy to share this information. We actually have compiled an updated full COVID report with regards to our region, including these survey results that have just been updated as of yesterday. So for everyone listening, please reach out through our website and perhaps contact us through our CRM portal, and feel free to request that. We're happy to share that with absolutely anyone. So fascinating stuff, positive stuff, I would say, especially with regard to perhaps other regions where we're seeing a really big return, quick return, if you like, for overseas travel, particularly from our region.
Thank you, Glenn. That's fantastic and very valid information. I believe you're in the middle of a virtual Arabian travel market right now. For those who don't know, Arabian travel market is the leading tourism fair in the Middle East and usually takes place late April in Dubai. This year, a virtual one. What other interesting initiatives have you launched to support our clients in the UAE region?
Yes, we've been doing quite a bit actually, given how everything had to be changed with regards to strategies and then also with regards to activities. But obviously, especially with regards to B2C awareness and engagement, social media has been ongoing, and obviously the messaging has been changing as we go along and continue to go along. But social messaging has been a big one. A big thing even that came out of the report that agents are looking for is really a lot of training on destinations. So we've been doing a lot of webinars for our clients, also setting up online training programs as well, and that's been another major one. And as we're going forward now, we're also looking at creating the special packages for this particular summer ongoing period to come through. But even another interesting, I think, one that we've done that's really got a great response is also having our clients being able to have a one-to-one sort of talking session with different influencers and doing something similar to this, like a live screening. But this has also been really quite great engagement for our clients with the general population here.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you again, Glenn. Let's see if there's any questions from our audience as well. But here's one. It's not the first time that I read it, but nevertheless, if you would have a certain limited budget, what would you propose for a destination to be promoted in the UAE as we speak, and what shall be the focus in regards to the relevant UAE source markets?
Right, very good question. And obviously, every sort of whoever's asking that question, obviously it would need to be tailored to that specifics, even with regards to logistics, as where they are, when we can visit them. But definitely, if we're looking at creating awareness, especially on a B2B level, I really would encourage webinars. Our travel trade partners here have been absolutely fantastic. They're obviously going through hard times themselves. But they've been really proactive in really updating, educating themselves on new destinations, new product or updates. So I would really encourage that. And then on a B2C level, even social awareness and engagement campaigns, I think would really be a good one. However, from that, I think once we sort of start getting into this campaign building for packages, I think this would be a really good one for those that have something specific to sell, and maybe tourism boards could work with their supplier partners to package these things that makes it easier for our travel trade to be able to pass it on, promote it, and then also sell it as well. I would encourage that. And just to let everyone know, we will actually also be, especially for B2B and business development, we will be going ahead with our AVIAREPS roadshows. Starting from September, going through to November. That will be throughout various cities in Saudi Arabia, the rest of the GCC. And actually this year we'll also be going to Lebanon and Jordan. And but all of these will be having a virtual exhibition element as well. We've been on with the ATM virtual platform. Well, we're in the midst of it at this time, which has been great to catch up to people. But it does also make me then realize how proud I am that our affiliate with Avianet has created an exceptional virtual exhibition platform, and that will be the one that we'll be using on our roadshows. So lots of opportunities for people to engage with our market too.
Great. Here's another interesting question. UAE is not only an interesting source market for many international travel and tourism brands from around the world, UAE has also significant interest to increase travel to the UAE. At AVIAREPS, as a side note, we're representing destinations such as Bahrain, Dubai, Oman, Qatar. So here's the question. Are you seeing UAE destinations to become even more active to attract international travelers today?
Absolutely. I think the one major reason why I love living in this region, besides the people, is the always the proactiveness, the vision, and also the willingness to really go out there and make a big stamp on the world. And we see this with all the tourism boards in this region. They're looking at how they can support their industry here with a quick recovery, as quick as possible, as what's safe as possible, and extremely proactive. And as we know, like a lot of other destinations around the world too, we can't always rely on domestic tourism, because our economy, not economies, but our size of the population can be quite small depending on the actual region or country that we're in here. And as international hubs, the infrastructure and everything is really being generated for a huge tourism industry that the sizes of our communities just can't naturally domestically fulfill. So as a result, we have, and let's face it, I think the tourism boards from around this whole region really do benchmark themselves at the very top of the world, if they're not the top of the world themselves. So I think everyone can expect a lot of noise, a lot of awareness, a lot of, I would say, positive outreach also, and engagement from our region to the rest of the world as well. So as soon as people are able to visit us, of course, we'd also love to have them in our neck of the woods.
Thank you again, Glenn, and thank you all that have joined us today on the session about the UAE. For those who were unable to join live, you can also access our live stream, as always, on YouTube. And additionally, we will also share in more detail our extensive travel trade survey with you on request, as Glenn mentioned already before. The next AVIAREPS live stream will focus on France, together with our Paris-based General Manager, Gilles Gosselin, next week, next Tuesday, June the 9th. See you then. Au revoir. Thank you very much again. And I look forward to continuing our discussion and our live stream with you all next week. Thank you again, Glenn.